Trey Lance, the guy, Trey in the Bay, right? So I think the with Trey Lance, the thing that he's going to provide that Jimmy Garoppolo can't provide, that Tom Brady can't provide, that all these veteran quarterbacks like Matt Stafford, who the 49ers could have traded for, don't provide, is he's on a super cheap contract. Specifically, if you look, it's going to be a 4-year, $34 million deal, which is about $9 million a year annually. And he's going to get that 5th-year option, of course. And the main thing with this is that if you look, and there's this statistic is thrown out all the time, that no team has ever won with a player making 12% or more of the salary cap, a single player, right? The interesting thing with that statistic, even then, Jack, is that the only guy who even did that was Tom Brady, and he did it twice. So even when we're talking about this and one player having value and all that, the only guy to even do this is Tom Brady, and I think the only guy who even got close in terms of being that much of the team's salary cap was Matt Ryan when the Atlanta Falcons got really close, obviously, with Kyle Shanahan. So with Trey Lance, he's going to provide salary cap relief in a huge way once the team offloads Jimmy Garoppolo, because right now Jimmy Garoppolo is at 13.5% of the salary cap. That's even more than Tom Brady's earning right now. So I think when you take all this into consideration, it's going to be huge for the 49ers. And just this is something I want to touch on before I let you talk, Jack, is that in 2011, right, this is when things changed for the league. They added the rookie wage scale in the 2011 lockout. If you look, Sam Bradford, right, straight out of Oklahoma, signed a 6-year, $78 million deal. Then if you look 10 years later at the first overall pick, Joe Burrow is signing a 4-year, $36 million deal. So the difference is huge. And teams the league is creating an artificial value at the quarterback position specifically, to where if you can get one of these quarterbacks who's an above average, a top 15 to top 20 guy in the league, you can create one of the best rosters in the NFL. I think the best example of this is the Cleveland Browns, right? Baker Mayfield. He's earning about 5% of that team's salary cap, and you've seen how that team has been able to reload offseason after offseason after offseason with him as the cornerstone of their quarterback room. And then even Mahomes, if you look last year, right, he was 2.5% of the Chiefs' salary cap. And then just in general, those last 8 teams, Jack, 4 of them had quarterbacks on the rookie wage scale, or who were being paid at that rookie wage scale at that time. So the value for teams is huge. And for a team like the 49ers, who are going to have to extend Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, right, and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, they can really save a lot of money before they have to pay Trey Lance. And because of that, I think it could really increase their Super Bowl opportunity, especially for the next 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. That's the whole benefit. If Lance can come in and play and be the guy that they expect him to be, he allows them to do so many other things as far as keeping some of these guys. All of a sudden, George Kittle's contract doesn't look quite so tough anymore because you're saving the money on Garoppolo, and the 18 to 20 million you're going to be paying Fred Warner, that's not quite so bad. The big contract to Trent Williams, all those kind of things become more manageable down the road if you have Lance instead of Garoppolo, because Lance is going to be, like you said, I think he's going to be making $5 million, $7 million against the cap or something like that for most of the time that he's here. So
it's going to be less than 5% of the salary cap for those first 4 years. So that's really key, right? Yeah. And I think even within that, the interesting part, I just want to make sure I mention this for people, because this is something I happened upon the other week, which is that if you look at that 5th-year option specifically, I didn't realize this, Jack. What they do is they take the average of the top 10 paid at that position, and that's the salary that's given to that player. So if you look at Sam Darnold, for example, I think this year or next year or whichever it is, when the Carolina Panthers picked up his 5th-year option, it's $23 million, right? So it does become expensive at a certain point. But like I said, you get so much alleviation those first 4 seasons of the contract, and especially with the timeline, like I've mentioned over and over, that the Niners are on, it kind of seems like a match made in heaven in terms of financially.